The generator quit 4 days ago, and it is very, very quiet out here. You're 200 miles down the coast, the sun's going into the water, and the thing that's actually killing your plan isn't a bomb or a mob or a virus. It's a number on a cheap plastic gauge. 16 gallons. That's it. That's the rest of your life measured out in a liquid you cannot make, cannot find, and cannot buy. Because the fuel docks went dry in the first week, and the tank farm behind them is being guarded by men who are not interested in your card, your cash, or your story. Every survival plan you've ever read has the same hole punched through the middle of it. And it isn't food, and it isn't water. It's fuel. The truck needs it. The generator needs it. The nice powerboat that got you here burns something like 8 gallons an hour at cruise, which means a full tank bought you one pleasant afternoon and a lifetime of regret. And the guy who thought ahead and stacked drums in his barn? Gasoline starts turning to varnish in 3 to 6 months. Diesel goes about a year before it starts growing things in the bottom of the tank. He's on a clock, too. He just can't see the hands moving. Now look up. There's a stick over your head with a bag of cloth hanging off it, and that thing is an engine. No fuel, no filters, no spark plugs, no supply chain, no station, nobody's permission. It ran this planet for 5,000 years before anyone thought to dig oil out of the ground, and it works in a total blackout, in the dark, every single day, for free. That's the pitch. Now let's go find out exactly where it's a lie. So put the gauge down. You and me, we're going to do this properly. The parts that work, the parts that don't, and the one nobody warns you about until it's 3 in the morning on day 6, and it's already too late to fix. 1. The wing standing on its end. You were taught a sail is a bag that catches wind, and pushing is the slowest thing a sail does. It's a wing. Same shape as an airliner's, stood on end. Air moving face gets pushed and the other the pressure there, so one face gets pushed and the other gets sucked. Most of that suction lives in the front third of the cloth, nearest the mast, which is why a sail with a fluttering front edge isn't slower. It's broken. That pull points mostly sideways. The keel, the fin under you, refuses to go sideways, so forward is all that's left. Your boat moves because a slab of lead is stubborn, which is also why downwind isn't your fastest point of sail. Across the wind is, but a sail only moves the boat. It doesn't run the boat. And that's the other half of this. 2. 30 against 3. One number decides all of this, and nobody puts it in a survival plan. A normal house eats about 30 kilowatt-hours a day. A kilowatt-hour is that unit on the power bill you never read, except now nobody makes it for you. A cruising sailboat runs on 3. Lights, radio, autopilot, pumps. 30 against 3. The whole life support of a floating home costs about 1 load of laundry in an electric dryer. 2 solar panels replace a power grid on a boat. 2 on your roof replace a porch light. Now the ugly half. A 100 amp-hour lead battery does not give you 100 amp-hours. Go below half and you're shortening its life, so half of what you paid for is decoration. Lithium fixes that, but lithium is a computer with a fire risk inside that won't charge below freezing. 3. The machine that charges itself by leaving solar. Honestly, a 100-watt panel doesn't make 100 watts. Over a real day, it hands you 350 to 500 watt-hours. So 600 or 700 watts of panel covers a modest boat's whole day, sun permitting. Shade murders it. 1 halyard shadow guts a whole panel, because the cells are wired in a chain and the weakest throttles the rest. Wind next. And this is what the sales pages skip. Output climbs with the cube of the wind speed. Double the wind, 8 times the power. At 10 knots, you get a trickle and a noise you'll learn to hate. They earn their keep in a gale, at night, when panels are dead weight, than the one I actually believe in. Hydro. Trail a small propeller on a line behind you, or let the boat's own shaft spin, and moving water becomes amps. 5 to 8 of them at 6 knots, all night, in overcast, while you sleep. A house can make power. It cannot make power while traveling. The bill is drag, a quarter to half a knot. Plenty of sailors say it isn't worth it. They're not wrong. They're just not thirsty yet. 4. Squeezing. The ocean, you're floating on infinite water you can't drink. The fix isn't straining salt out, it's pushing water away from it. Crank seawater to 800 pounds per square inch against a membrane with holes so small a water molecule fits and a salt ion doesn't. Water through, salt back overboard. That's a water maker, and the pressure is electricity. The efficient units, the ones that recycle their own pressure, make a gallon for 20 to 30 watt-hours. 2 people drinking a gallon a day each is a rounding error against your panels. Water, solved permanently. What wrecks them is neglect. Leave that membrane wet, warm, and idle for a month and you come back to a jar R of biology. Not ever shelf. Run it every few days or pickle it, meaning flood it with a food-grade preservative and seal it, and never put chlorinated dock water through it. Chlorine eats a membrane in minutes. Halfway. All of that was the good news, and it's real. Now I take it apart, because what makes people fail has nothing to do with any of it. 5. Where the wind lies to you. You cannot sail into the wind. Not can't easily. Cannot. A cruiser gets within about 45 degrees and no closer, so if it's coming from where you need to go, you zigzag. Geometry alone adds 40% to your miles. Add a boat that won't point, waves stopping you dead, 2 knots of current the wrong way, and a 100-mile trip becomes 300. Calms are worse, because calms aren't dramatic. Flat, glassy water for 3 days while your food goes and your patience goes first. The Gulf Stream runs up to 4 knots. In light air, you make 1, and the boat you're picturing for all this? Wrong boat? 6. Smaller, older, uglier, not the 50-foot catamaran from the drone shot. A 30-footer from the 70s with a deck nobody would photograph. 3 numbers. 1. Top speed for a normal sailboat is 1.3, 4 times the square root of its waterline in feet. 27-footer, 6.5 knots. 40-footer, 8. 4 times the money for a knot and a half, and 4 times the systems that can quit. 2. Count the holes. Every through hull is a hole in your boat below the waterline, shut by a valve you haven't turned in 2 years. A simple 30-footer has 6. A floating condo with air conditioning has 23. Draft. 4 feet of keel goes up creeks where nothing drawing 9 can follow. Now back to that gauge. A small marine diesel, used the way sailors use one, docking, crawling through calms, clawing off a lee shore, burns half a gallon an hour at low revs. Your 16 gallons isn't an afternoon, it's 30 hours of engine. Same fuel, different machine. Then strip what you don't need. The fridge is the biggest single load on most boats. Yes, out. Cold beer is not a survival system, and I have genuinely lost friendships over that sentence. 7. 3. In the morning on day 6. Now the thing that actually kills this, and it isn't the boat. Alone, you can't sleep. A ship's lights come over the horizon around 8 miles out. It's doing 20 knots. You're doing 5, so you close at 25. 19 minutes from first light to a bow through your side, so you sleep in 20-minute pieces. Timer, stand, scan, lie down. 20 is also the longest nap you can take before you fall into deep sleep and wake up stupid. 6 days of that, and you're not the person who left the dock. 17 hours awake, and your judgment sits where a drunk driver's does. 24. And you're impaired without touching a bottle. Then you make 1 lazy call at 3 in the morning, a hatch you didn't latch, a line you didn't check. That call, not the weather, sinks boats, so the boat isn't the asset, you are. Hand one to somebody who's never made a sail smaller in the dark, and it isn't a survival plan, it's a slower way to have the same problem. Reefing, shrinking the sail so the wind has less to grab, is the skill that decides this. Reef the first time the thought crosses your mind. The second time it's a much harder job, on a deck that won't hold still. Go learn it now, while the fuel docks still work, and the worst thing that happens is looking clumsy in front of strangers. Because this is how it ends on a good night. No generator, no engine, nothing humming, nothing burning, nothing counting down. Water against the hull, the rigging ticking. Your batteries are full and you paid nobody for it. Your tanks are full, and you made that out of the ocean. There's a glow on the coast behind you, and everyone under it is doing math on something they can't refill. You're not escaping. You're just the only thing out here that doesn't need anything from anyone. Learn the wind. Keep it simple. Sleep when somebody else can watch. Then sit in that quiet and know what it costs to earn. Nothing running, nothing owed.